everyone, my name's Neomi Bennett. I'm a registered nurse and I'm also the inventor of a product called NeoSlip. NeoSlip is an easy-to-use device which I developed whilst a student at Kingston University. NeoSlip is a low-friction pouch which helps patients to put on their compression stockings. I currently supply 34 hospitals across the UK. NeoSlip is available on prescription, and more recently, since May this year, NeoSlip is available via NHS supply chain. You can also purchase NeoSlip from Boots pharmacies across the UK. So today I'd like to introduce to you my new product. Oh, sorry. I'm really not good at presenting, so please forgive me for that. Milestones, yeah, so they're the milestones that I've reached with NeoSlip. So today I'd like to introduce to you my new product, which focuses on drug rounds. I'm not sure if anyone here is familiar with the ward drug round that nurses do on a day-to-day basis, but they can be very tricky and complicated. There are many incidents and errors reported during the administration of medication. Of 100 reports of death and severe harm, most were caused by wrong administration, 41% with unclear wrong dose or frequency, wrong medication, delayed medicines account for also 21% of fatal and serious harm. You've also got this do not disturb apron, which is an attempt to reduce the risk of being interrupted during the drug round, but there are still some other risk factors present. Oops, I've gone too far. Oh no, I haven't, sorry. Yeah, so this is a typical drug trolley used frequently within a ward area. These are actual different trolleys that I've just seen myself in different hospitals, and they're very congested, and there's so much on the trolley, and often the keys go missing. Obviously I'm a nurse, so the keys go missing, no one can ever find the keys, and sometimes the nurse will go off for a break and they're in her pocket. So basically my new idea, my solution is, this is a product called the Neo Med Caddy, and this slide shows the current process of the medical journey when entering the hospital. So it enters the trust, it's uploaded to the system, it's dispensed and supplied before it becomes ward stock. This is where my product Neo Medi will support administration. So this slide shows, if you see in the corner there's the nurse. She will go to the Medi and put in her details, the patient details, and the drug medication details. The information will report back to the central server, which will check the information, and if everything's correct, the medication will be dispensed using like a vending machine technology, almost like putting your card in an ATM to withdraw cash. If there's an error, the server will send an alert to provide the nurse with additional information, such as the dose or the known contraindication. This is how the Medicaddy looks. There are compartments for each medication. Each medication will be orderly and tidy. Most wards have a standard set of medication, which is about 30 for each speciality. We will monitor and restock the medication using these codes. And that will prevent medication also going missing, because then you can trace medication and you won't rely on just paper input on what's short on the ward. So basically the Neo Caddy is for healthcare professionals who dispense and administer medication within a healthcare setting. And it's basically a networked medicine dispenser that will eliminate human error and prevent patients from being wrongly medicated, unlike the current drug trolley. Our product will support the easy administration of medication. Thanks for listening. So sorry, I must say that was the first time I've actually pitched that product. We've been working on it since 2014. NeoSlip, I can pitch that off the back of my hand, and I've been on Dragon's Den, I've pitched a lot for it, but this was literally the first time I'm presenting it to you guys, because I'm looking forward to your expertise. Thanks,
Any questions for Naomi? One here. Sorry, we lost our moving mic. There it is, just on its way to here.
Great presentation. Thank you very much for that. So my question is regarding the human error factor. You're trying to remove human error from the whole process,
Yeah.
I understand. Just the question on when you're putting the drugs, we're transferring the drugs into the caddy itself, isn't there an opportunity for human error there, or how are you going about reducing?
Currently, the pharmacist comes on and fills up the drug trolley. So basically, that would be the pharmacist's role to just fill up as they do normally. So the caddy will actually just confirm what's going into the machine. So yeah, it's already been manually put in by the pharmacist. So it would really just support that operation.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And then one at the back.
What is your IP strategy for filing a patent? Have you filed a patent in the UK for the caddy itself? Because I guess there was a technical part.
At the moment, I've got
part.
some developers that are developing the software, and I think that's what we will be protecting, because the vending machine, we're kind of trying to find one that's more tailored, smaller, because, I don't know, there is some medicine cabinets already in the system, but they're usually huge and they're very expensive. So with regards to the vending, that will be something that we've tailored, and also the software will be something that the software developers will protect by way of copyright. Or however, yeah.
Can I ask a follow-up question then? So, what's your USP? You said there are other cabinets.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so it's USP, like unique selling point. Right, so for example, I've actually used one of the big, large dispensers, and they are very big and they're very costly, and they don't like, they tend to be used in A&Es because of the mix of medication, but in terms of individual wards, there's not really anything to support the nurse with that operation.
Right, maybe here and then just go back. It was a great presentation, and it's really valuable right now, especially now that the NHS is moving to GS1 compliance. And I'm curious, how exactly would the trolley work in terms of stock check? Because there's a lot of efficiency that's lost.
Yeah, so what we was proposing to keep the barcodes. So when the product comes into the hospital, it's barcoded, and everything, every time it's checked in and out of somewhere, it goes to the server. So the server will basically have all the information. At the moment, if a ward, for example, because tramadol seems to be a popular one that literally just goes missing, but with this trolley, that would prevent that from happening, because every time the nurse puts her card in, it will register that what she's taken. And also as well, to make the space, what we will do is take out the blisters out of the boxes, so we can identify like the expiry date and stuff like that. It just frees up the space.
Yeah, I mean, I could tell you in medical devices, there's so much time that's wasted in terms of stock check. So if you can make that process a lot more streamlined, you're on to a winner.
Yeah, we are working on the first prototype now. So.
Back to the gentleman in the white shirt in the middle, and lady at the back with the dark hair, and then we'll leave.
Obviously, nurses are already pressed for time quite a lot as it is. How does it compare speed-wise with the traditional method?
Well, to be honest, when I went into, because I don't actually, because of my business with NeoSlip, I can't actually. I do like bank work, so every ward I go to, it takes so long. Like obviously, the nurses get used to that mess, and they get faster at it. But when you're just coming in, you know, like there is a lot of agency nurses, it can take you all day to make sure you safeguard your patient. So in terms of time, it will definitely save time. And like I say, with the keys, I'm sure if they time the amount of time wasted looking for keys, that would probably make a difference.
Thanks very much for your talk. I have two questions, well, one question and one statement. So the first question is, for the baskets, the drawers, is it per medication or is it per bed?
It's per medication, so it's the same as what you see in the medical in the trolleys, the traditional trolleys. It would just be an electronic version. So all those boxes that we saw, instead of them being just anywhere, because every single trust you go to, the medication are all over the place. But with the caddy, it will be a set, uniform style.
And how does that avoid drug errors then?
Because it will check with the server. So say, for example, a patient is having aspirin. We have to give that with water. We have to dissolve it. So a little prompt will come up to remind the nurse. Or, you know, if there's contraindications, things just pop up. So sometimes the nurse will have to, like we have to go and refer to the BNF, for example. So what we do is we put the information from the BNF into the system.
I'm going to have to shut it down. So, gentlemen, you had questions, but maybe just grab Neomi at the drinks after.
All right, thank you.
So hi, I'm Lydia. I'm a junior doctor. I'm here with my team from Forward, so it's Philip, Will and Lucinda. And the first thing to say is that this business really should never have happened. And that's because I'm engaged to Philip, and you should absolutely never work with your fiancé. So the story is that I started work 2 years ago, come home every day, hugely frustrated at the communication and workflow challenges that I was having. So not being able to contact people with pages, waiting by the phone, using WhatsApp and Snapchat as a workaround, and carrying around a paper list. So if I just move on and show you just the middle one. Thank you. Okay. Yep. So this is literally the state of clinical communication in the NHS at the moment. And it's not only in the NHS, in fact, it's literally all over Europe. So bleeps, don't need to explain the problems with those for any of you that have used them. But if any of you haven't, you have no idea whether you're being bleeped to prescribe a laxative or because somebody has stopped breathing in A&E. It's a huge waste of time going to answer the phone, waiting for the phone to ring. You have to leave the patient's bedside. WhatsApp, obviously not legal, combined with your social messages from your mum, from your friends, and paper handover lists. So every doctor will carry around a list of patients that they're looking after. They'll annotate that during the day. That gets lost, and then you lose your entire task list for that day. It's a data protection issue. It's really inefficient. So that's what we're using at the moment. I'll try again with this thing. Thank you. That's what led to Forward. So Forward is a clinical communications and workflow platform for doctors. We basically did some research because I didn't know whether the problems I was having were unique to me or whether they were universal. So we surveyed about 120 doctors, and we found that pretty much everybody wanted a solution to this set of problems. So we focused on what people really wanted, which was secure messaging. It was tasks. So, for example, if you're in a small team of doctors and you're separated in the hospital, one of you goes to book a CT, maybe the other person goes to book the same CT for the same patient. You've both wasted half an hour, essentially. People also wanted a patient notebook, so like the handover list, something that you could carry around with you and annotate live. So say a patient's admitted to A&E under your team, you then add that patient. Everybody on your team can then see that there's a new patient. They can see what needs to be done for them. It just gives you a bit of control. And I think that's the key about this. Doctors are leaving the NHS in droves. People's morale is an absolute low. This is about giving people some of that time and autonomy and morale back. Next slide, please. Thank you very much. Okay, so Trust we've trialled in. So Frimley, we trialled for a 2-week period there, and people sent about 6,500 messages. So that is a lot of communication. Doctors and clinical teams communicate a lot. We also have Medway using the platform now. We have about 250 users there. The feedback's been overall really positive so far. So, next one, please. Thank you. Just a quick thing on how do we make this safe, because you're probably all thinking patient details on personal phones. That sounds very worrying to me. We've made this compliant with the NHS IG toolkit. So it's 2-factor authenticated. You have to have an NHS email address to log in. There's a PIN protection function, and we follow all the guidelines for data protection in the EU and the UK. No data stored on a device. If you lose your phone, it's not an issue. That's just wiped. Great. So that's it. If you have any questions, I'd love to hear them.
Fantastic. Who's got questions for Lydia?
Thanks.
Yes, great. And over here, where has our roving mic? It's roving forward as we speak, right? One here and then. Okay, great. Go.
Oh, great presentation. I'm curious, so your biggest competitor is Streams from Google DeepMind. Aside from being in a legal kerfuffle with the regulators, what differentiates your product from Streams?
So Streams was developed to manage AKI, essentially, and the communication platform is fairly basic. Lots of systems, even some that we've heard about today, will have communication platforms built into them, but they don't give junior doctors exactly what they need to be efficient at work. So that's essentially the difference. That was developed to manage AKI. We're managing a universal problem.
Any other questions for Lydia? Yes, yeah, Eva, just wait on the
Thank you for your presentation. Have you also considered the patient-physician communication? Because this is another place where WhatsApp is an incumbent. Yeah.
Definitely, and I think that's a real issue at the moment. Patients don't necessarily take in what's gone on the ward round. They might not know which doctor's actually looking after them, which nurse is on today. So that's something we'd love to do in the future. But I think for a patient-facing platform, that's a much bigger thing. Really, we have to tackle this first. But it's a great idea, yeah.
Naomi, the question in front of you.
It's a really good product. How do the hospitals or CCGs procure this product? How do you get it in?
So currently it's free because we just really felt that this problem needed to be solved. We want to gather as much feedback as we can from users. And by the way, that doesn't just include doctors. It's got obvious potential for nurses, physios, etc., who currently aren't talking to each other. Their handover sheets are like completely different. So we don't have a business model essentially yet. We have a number of ways in which this could be sustainable, but I think the first thing is to see what really works for people.
It's a wonderful platform. Does it depend on the strength of Wi-Fi or any other information system?
It's offline. It has an offline mode. It uses the same data and battery as WhatsApp.
Sorry, what is the offline mode?
So you can type messages, but it won't send until it's online.
Is there a way to bypass that?
Well, you're going to have to find some
because
Wi-Fi.
that is where the bleep system oversends all. The bleep is always available.
That's absolutely true. But, 99%, and I'm not even exaggerating, of clinical teams are using WhatsApp at the moment to communicate. So they must be getting data from somewhere.
Have you thought of the local Wi-Fi system which generates, the phone generates itself a Wi-Fi system up to 50 or 100 meters? Have you thought of that as part of replacement?
So we've thought of mesh networks. We've actually thought a lot about use in other countries and perhaps like wilderness settings. And that's something that we'd be keen to develop. But I think, hospitals finally are getting good Wi-Fi networks. That is happening. So I think it's not really an immediate problem because people are using platforms that rely on data.
I worked in both hospitals, Medway and Frimley, as a consultant.
Yeah.
I know the basement is poor. You can't get a signal there. That's why the question was generated.
Yeah, and yet people manage, so.
Brilliant, thank you for your presentation. I'm quite keen to know if we start to see some actually, I can see as a function for task, and if there's tasks being allocated or any sort of clinical decision or advice starting to happen in the dialogue in the app. How is that being integrated back into the patient record?
Yeah, sure. So we face this question about integration a lot. I think most platforms do. We purposefully do not integrate because we want a universal platform so that when doctors and nurses move hospitals, they're doing locum shifts in different places, they can still use Forward. The things that happen clinically to the patient on this platform need to be recorded, just like if you were to take a bleep from another specialty, you would record in the patient notes that you've done that. If you've ordered a CT scan, you would record that in the notes. It's a completely separate thing.
Just to be aware of that duplication of entry will, I guess, put a few people off with adoption. If you record it once, communicate it once, that again helps with time and efficiency. Just something else.
Well, yeah, but if you imagine bleeping someone to tell them something or instant messaging them to tell them something, that's all we're doing really. We're just creating a more efficient way of that process happening. So all these communications are already going on in a very inefficient way.
Okay, wonderful. Great. That's all we've got time for.
Thank you.
Hi, so would you kindly introduce yourself, just tell us your name and what do you do work-wise?
Yeah. My name is Deepashri Patil. I work at Guy's and St. Thomas's as an outpatient transformation manager. But in my previous life, I have worked with risk and patient safety a lot. So a lot of my questions today were intended in terms of risk and patient safety and sustainability, because things come and go, and we just go through the whole lot of changes in the NHS, and I think people are tired of that. So I think that was, but I really enjoyed this. Is the first event I've been to, and I really enjoyed it.
Brilliant. And just quickly, which one was your favorite speaker?
My favorite speaker was Salve, but I voted for Forward because I saw more potential into that app. And I think our doctors, from my past experiences, our junior doctors leave very quickly before they actually complete training because they feel isolated and scared about what's going to happen. And I think that is a good network for them to, belong together.
My name is Charlie Kenny. I'm one of the co-founders of Salve.
And please tell us a little bit what your company does and what you're looking to achieve.
So Salve guides patients through secondary care treatments, and it also helps the clinics and hospitals that offer those services run more efficiently in doing so.
You were the best out of the presenters. And which one speaker did you like the most?
I really like Forward. I think they're definitely solving a problem that needs to be solved. So my sister's a doctor as well, and I know that everyone's using WhatsApp in hospitals, and it is illegal, it's not compliant. It's definitely a problem to be solved, and it sounds like they're making really good traction.
So congratulations first of winning this evening with your presentation. Just please tell us quickly your name, your company that you represent, and what made you to create this amazing system that you won today.
Okay, so my name is Lydia. I'm a junior doctor. I'm representing Forward, which is a clinical communications and workflow platform for all healthcare professionals. Created out of frustration, really. So my own job, inefficiencies, time wasted, and just wanting to spend more time with patients being a doctor.
Beautiful. It was really, really amazing, and I think you're actually helping a lot of doctors to save a lot of time and actually manage the system much easier. Apart from you obviously being the best presenter this evening, which one did you like most?
Okay, I actually, because I really resonate with this chaotic ward environment, I loved the caddy, the medication caddy. I just think that's a fantastic idea. Anything that can reduce medication error, increase patient safety is just right up there for me.
Okay, my name's Neomi Bennett, and today I was representing Neo Innovations UK Limited.
Okay, and please tell us quickly what your company does for viewers possibly who actually missed your presentation.
Okay, so Neo Innovations UK Limited, we develop nurse and patient-inspired product. Our first product is called Neo Slip, and this is a low-friction device to help patients put their stockings on after an operation.